Hello everyone, I have my Sun Seed and Spawn back again.
God.
Not Troy, but Kietsu. We did Minato versus the 5 Kage before, and I really hate doing versus battles alone, right? It's kind of annoying, so I was like, which one of my children is the best for this video? And I figured it was Kietsu, because Troy doesn't really do Naruto. So we're going over Obito versus the Sannin, and it's going to be at 3 different points in time, and at every point in time, there is absolutely no way to link all of the Sannin up. So we're gonna do some time travel stuff. Kietsu actually suggested this to me before the video. He's like, oh, let me just have all the Sannin time travel. Did you not suggest it?
I don't think that's the case, but I'll pretend it is.
Okay. Anyways, he was like, yo, we just should have the Sannin time travel. So okay, cool. So battle one, we're gonna do Sannin. We'll go over forms later. Right? We'll do the Sannin. Just they all got together and then they time traveled to the Nine Tails attack. And Minato wasn't there because of something, and they fight Obito instead. Then in battle 2, we got what if Obito was in the Rain Village and Pain wasn't, because Pain, I don't know, he already left to go capture Naruto or some shit. But the thing about that one is Orochimaru is inside of Sasuke when that happened. So we'll have Orochimaru time travel for that one. And then the third one, we have if the Sannin fought Obito with the 6 Jinchuriki instead of, Naruto, Kakashi, and Guy. The thing with that one is Jiraiya and Orochimaru are dead, and Tsunade is fighting someone else. So we'll have them all time travel from another part of the verse somewhere, and then they'll get thrown into that battle. But I mean, that's enough of that. Obviously, go check out Kietsu's TikTok. It's not good, but if you want to do that, you can.
Guy's a hater.
And then obviously like and subscribe, and then that's the last thing before we get into it. So what do you want to say about the Sannin versus 14-year-old Obito? Who are we saying wins? Because I'm not all too sure.
I'm not too sure either. What I will say about the Sannin is that they should be relative to each other. Ebisu implies it as he states like it would take one of the Sannin to beat Orochimaru.
Yep.
We don't know if Ebisu like knows the extent of all the Sannin's power, so the validity of the statement is kind of shaky, right? But the narrative seems to imply the Sannin being relative as well. Of course, you could argue the relativity differs between the 3, seeing as Jiraiya and Orochimaru are stated to be on par with each other, and Jiraiya can kill Tsunade like on multiple occasions.
It is stated though in Fanbook 1 that Tsunade is like every bit a match for both of them.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could be like the thing about the Will of Fire, right? So maybe Jiraiya is like, oh, if you betray Konoha, mental imp, and then I'm gonna kill you or something like that.
Exactly.
I'm basically fine with all the Sannin being relative in base. Then they have like their Sannin plus forms, obviously, but we'll get into that more into the video, because obviously Jiraiya is not going to just be in Sage mode, and Tsunade using 100 healings to like attack people is something only shown in the war arc. We can cover that a bit later. I have some opinions on that I haven't really heard anyone else talk about. And Orochimaru, he only uses the Hydra one time. So we'll say they're all back in Konoha, because the only one of them who has suspicions that someone was in control of the Nine Tails back then is Jiraiya, because he's thinking like, oh, why did Minato seal the Nine Tails in Naruto? There must be some reason outside of whatever everyone else is thinking. So he kind of thinks like, oh, Madara's kind of back here. So with that being said, I think Jiraiya would be the first person to run into Obito, and I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, it's also like within his character for him to do so. He kind of just like, he acts like Naruto in a sense, and Naruto's like always kind of the first guy to be like, oh yeah, I want to fight you.
As for what Tsunade and Orochimaru doing, I don't know too much, but I mean, eventually they're all gonna have to fight Obito. Now, if Obito summons the Nine Tails on them instead of like having it attack the village, they all instant dead.
Like Orochimaru and Jiraiya struggle with the 4 tails, right? Like the only reason Orochimaru like stays alive is because he just keeps healing the entire time. Jiraiya is training with Naruto at that point in time. You could still say that 4 tails is like above his base.
Right. And then if you want to say like we don't know who's stronger between fucking the Nine Tails and Tsunade, which is strange to me. I have no idea why anyone would think that, but I know there's somebody out there who would say something like that, right? You can actually scale KCM to Naruto kind of directly over the 5 Kage. So the 5 Kage think that the only way, and they're all in agreement on this, the only way they can counter the Biju is if they form the Shinobi Alliance. Like the Shinobi Alliance is the counter to the Biju, right? They act under this idea that Madara is immortal. He doesn't really have all of his power like Obito tells them. And then they're like, okay, let's start the Shinobi Alliance to counter the power of 7 Biju. It's the only thing we have. So Tsunade can't do that on her own, right? Because her and the right Kage are like on a comparable level. Like she obviously hits harder, but they're still like comparable. Tsunade can't fight 7 Biju on her own. And then Naruto and KCM2, Naruto's actually massively drained of chakra when he enters KCM2, like to a massive degree. So he's drained of chakra a lot. So the whole Jinchuriki plus Biju amp doesn't really work here. It's kind of only like Kurama's power, and even the feats that are being performed be credits to Kurama instead of like Kurama and Naruto, right? Obviously, like Kurama can heal Naruto up and stuff, but that's still his chakra. So Kurama can beat up 5 Biju all on his own while not trying to kill them. Keep in mind, beat 5 Biju all on his own. So adding 2 more really shouldn't do anything, and Tsunade can't do that. And then full Kurama, even if you don't want to say Naruto is weakened, full Kurama would clearly be, or another half of Kurama is clearly stronger than base Naruto. So full Kurama should be stronger than KCM2 to say that full Kurama is just over Tsunade. So they all die if full Kurama comes out.
Exactly.
But I don't want to focus too much on that. I want to know how they do with just Obito. Do they all get comboed instantly? Like what's gonna happen?
I think so. So there's actually like a very simplistic argument that can be used for Yellow Mask Obito, because we know that Yellow Mask Obito obviously fights with Minato. They have their like who can touch each other first moment. Before this, when Obito sneaks up like behind Minato for the first time, Minato obviously gets away, but we see Obito say, next time I'll like grab him faster, like much faster than I did. Which would just imply that Obito has a speed to take down Minato, but he just didn't because Minato is that guy.
Minato implies that later as well, because he's like,
yeah,
oh yeah, the next person who gets to hit off, the battle's gonna be over.
Exactly. In part 1, when Anko is talking to Hiruzen, he's like, nobody in Konoha is a threat to Orochimaru, and that he doesn't believe he himself can take him down. Then we see Anko state, if only the 4th Hokage was alive, which would just be like, it would set the implication that Minato would have been able to take down Orochimaru. Orochimaru that fights Hiruzen is weaker due to the body he's in, but the one that Hiruzen is referencing is a stronger Orochimaru.
Yeah.
So like that would just mean Obito could just blitz all of them with ease.
Hiruzen essentially thinks that like he says this before, and it's mentioned in the 3rd data book, but he doesn't think that he can take down Orochimaru whatsoever, right? Like he thinks Orochimaru is essentially just gonna like destroy the village. The issue with Hiruzen's line of thinking is that he didn't know Orochimaru has switched bodies, right? So Orochimaru says that the body he's in at the Chunin exams is weaker than current Sasuke's body. Not to say he is, because he's clearly not. He's skilled at Hiruzen and all that, but the body he's in is weaker, so it should like lower his physical energy, which obviously affects chakra and whatnot. So he should just be stronger overall at other parts in the series when he has like his original body, or maybe like a different body, like the body he gained at the end of part 1, or something like that. You know, he should just have like an overall stronger body. So base Sannin is kind of a no contest on this part, but Sage Mode Jiraiya, Hydra Orochimaru, 100 Healing Tsunade, that might be different. So in Sage Mode, obviously Jiraiya gets these features like do you think he gets access to the precog?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I guess the only argument against Jiraiya getting access to the precog or like the danger sensing is the fact that the Ashura path sneaks up on him and like catches him off guard. I don't think you having passive sensory means you can't be caught off guard.
Exactly.
Because you can have the passive sensory but also just not focus on it. Or maybe his isn't passive and he has to turn it on, but since he dropped his guard, it was off. Something like that. Because he is connected with nature. He's just done it in a worse way than Naruto. So he should just still have that quality.
And Mom and Pa state this too. They're like, bro, Jiraiya, you should have already like learned how to perfect your Sage Mode a long time ago.
Yeah, so how do you think Obito interacts with Frog Song?
I do think if Obito gets hit by like Frog Song, it's kind of a GG, because non-ocular genjutsu as well as exceptions with like ocular genjutsu can usually be broken out of via chakra disruption. So Nagato should have been able to disrupt the Pain's chakra as soon as they got hit with Frog Song, but he didn't, which would imply that he couldn't. This should also be consistent, seeing as the Frog Song is stated to be like the most powerful genjutsu, at least like in terms of non-ocular genjutsu.
Yeah. I probably think it's a GG as well. So, but the issue I have with that meaning like, oh, Sannin W, is they have to actually distract Obito for long enough for that to happen.
Yeah.
So Jiraiya is essentially not going to be in combat here. So it'll just be Hydra Orochimaru versus Tsunade. And Hydra Orochimaru, I don't know if I think he's faster. So it's definitely stated that it's stronger than Orochimaru. That much is just said, so we don't have to go over that. But it being faster is a bit contentious, because in addition to it gaining all this like chakra or whatever, it gains a lot more mass than Orochimaru would ever have. So it's like, oh, is the amount of power it gains enough to counteract the amount of mass it gains to say like maybe Orochimaru is a bit faster, or is he slower now? Yeah. I personally think he's slower, and the Hydra's smaller than the Eight Tails. You would agree with that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And Kakashi, he's worse at calm than Obito, and he could calmly the entire Eight Tails. So the Hydra might just be getting sucked away.
Yeah, pause. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the Hydra's getting sucked away, and then there's Tsunade. Tsunade is slower than the Raikage. The Raikage is slower than Minato. So like
she kind of just gets obliterated.
She's like Obito's gonna be intangible. She's gonna throw her hardest punches and get sucked away in the Kamui. Like that's just how it is. And then Jiraiya, I don't know if people think that would have been enough time for Jiraiya to gather up the chakra for Sage, or not Sage, but Frog Song. I definitely don't think it is. I think it's implied to be a lot longer than that. But if you think that, go ahead. And then you got Sannin W. But I think Jiraiya is just getting Kamui as well. And then that's GG on that. The Nine Tails destroys the whole village and blah blah blah. So
yeah, they just do worse than Minato.
The next one, right? If Obito's in the Rain Village instead of Pain, but all the Sannin went. Now this one may actually be a Sannin W. So there's a few arguments we can use to say Orange Mask Obito might be weaker than Yellow Mask Obito. I'm not gonna claim these as fact, right? They're just arguments given for the position. If you want to believe in them, go ahead. If you don't want to, don't. I don't think it changes all too much anyway. But it is stated in the data book 3 that nobody alive can control Kurama's chakra. So that would obviously imply that Obito can't control Kurama's chakra. It's half Kurama, whatever. So if that's the case, it should mean Obito's either his chakra control or his Sharingan or chakra volume, whatever, is weaker because he can't perform feats that he did when he was much younger. So what would be like a reason Obito got weaker? I mentioned this in the last video I did with Kietsu, but the reason Obito could have gotten weaker is maybe if you say he was fused with Zetsu or more Zetsu cells when he fought Minato, he just equipped himself with more while he was going to fight the 4th Hokage or something. If that's the case, then you could say, oh, since he doesn't have them, he's weaker, he can't control the full Nine Tails, blah blah blah. Also, Orange Mask Obito is kind of lazy.
Yeah, he doesn't really do too much.
He sits around and he kind of just waits for other people to do things. I think that's partly
it's stated that like he never reveals his like true power, or he doesn't fight with his true power.
So I think it's maybe to do with probably like the pact he has with Itachi, right? So he doesn't like actually go attack the leaf, which is the main thing he wants to attack anyway. To say like, oh, Obito doesn't, while he's not doing anything, because we see like when Jiraiya is thinking about Obito one time, or he's thinking about Madara, sorry. We cut to Madara, who we think is, or we cut to Obito, who we think is Madara, and he's just sitting at the final valley. He's just chilling. He's just chilling on top of Madara's head for some reason. Like, what? Go capture a Biju or some shit.
Exactly. Like, he just doesn't care for anything. He's just like kind of chilling when he's in Orange Mask.
Yeah, and then obviously there's the hotel scene, right? He pulls up on Naruto while Naruto's sleeping, and he's like, what's up? Instead of just capturing him, it's like, did he get stronger? Did he get weaker? Is he the same strength? We don't really know. I personally think, maybe he got weaker. But so if Obito gets weaker, fight becomes a little bit more fair. And since they're in the Rain Village this time, Jiraiya may actually be able to escape to get that chakra gathered for Frog Song.
If like Obito knows the Rain Village as well as Pain does, or as well as Nagato does, right? Jiraiya can just literally like run away, hide in a tunnel or something, build up the chakra, and just come out.
Yeah, I mean, even if we do say Obito knows the Rain Village as well as Pain does, which is completely arbitrary, probably not the case. Even with all that knowledge of the village, Pain couldn't find Jiraiya before that happened. Tsunade and Orochimaru probably still die in this instance, but it could still be like a Sannin W because Jiraiya just gets like all the chakra or whatever.
A lot of people think this, so I think we can both agree that Obito is far stronger than Pain. It's actually just blatantly stated in the second fan book that Obito, who's still going under the name Madara at this time, has ultimate power greater than Pain, despite him still being injured from when he fought Minato like 16 years ago or something like that. Even if you don't want to believe this and you don't think this is enough evidence to back this up, Obito kind of suns Pain and he's like, as your leader, I won't accept failure. So we get the implication that Obito's like, he's able to deal with Pain if Pain were to fail his mission.
He calls him an underling and all that. I mean, like, the implications are clear. I don't think people have a problem with Obito being stronger than Pain. I mean, like, when you see a Akatsuki list, most of the time it's like Obito, Pain, Itachi. Those are the top 3. Moving on to White Mask Obito, another time travel, the 6th Jinchuriki and Obito versus the Sannin. I think this one's probably the worst.
Yeah.
I don't think the Sannin stand any chance.
Yeah, this Obito shouldn't have too much of a problem. He's casually fighting and outspeeding KCM Naruto on multiple occasions. Not only that, but Naruto states in his fight with Itachi and Nagato that he's stronger than when he fought Pain after Nagato asked what's with his new form, which was just implied within context as well as it narratively being the case that KCM is stronger than Sage Mode. Sage Mode Naruto obviously contends with pain. I'm not going to get into that too much. And like Jiraiya doesn't, so like he'd probably get destroyed right after Tsunade, who's just stated to be slower than the Raikage, who KCM Naruto is faster than. The Edo Jinchuriki also contend with KCM Naruto to a certain extent, so it's kind of like overkill.
To a certain extent, it's like they might not be as fast as him, but the jumping mechanism they have, since they're all operated by the same person, allows them to contend with people at that tier speed that Jiraiya and all the other Sannin are below. So I mean, yeah, that's that one. Obito also has the Rinnegan now. It's really the Sannin really just can't do anything. But yeah, I mean, we can just wrap it up there. Obviously, go check out Kietsu. I capped about his TikTok earlier. He's actually really good at it. But yeah, you can go check him out if you want to. And obviously, like and subscribe to me. I'm the best. And have a nice day.
At being the worst.
Yeah, shut up.